25 independently owned nurseries and garden centers around town. There's only 5 of us left, and we really appreciate your patronage, not only here at the garden center, but with our friends at Rainbow Gardens, Millburgers, Fanix, Shades of Green, all those folks. There's not a whole lot of us left, so thanks for supporting us. Yeah. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I want to pass this over to David. David and I have been friends since probably the mid-90s. We did our master certified nursery professional training in College Station in the mid-90s. I had hair. David's hair was black. Yeah. So we're still friends. And he's a great supporter and proponent of the independent gardening world here and stuff, and I appreciate y'all's support and stuff, and I'd like to pass it to my good friend David.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate everyone being here today. Welcome the guests and our friends from the Water Garden Club of South Texas. So I guess 2 weeks ago, I think I was supposed to talk to you guys, and Dwayne Eden emailed me, and I was the first email down at the bottom, and then I was the last email up the top, and I don't know which David he was talking to, so I don't know what happened there. So that's kind of weird, but it's all good. We're here. We'll learn a little bit about spring gardening, talk a little bit, give y'all some pointers, hinters for your garden, landscape, and then entertain any questions that we have at the end. We have a couple master gardeners helping us today. Thank y'all for helping us. So the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service is the educational arm of our land-grant university, the greatest university in God's green earth in College Station. Remember, agriculture and mechanics, which is engineering, second to West Point when it comes to officers, and the #1 college during World War II for officers during World War II. A lot of people don't know that. 7,600 undergraduates still in the agricultural school, and the largest public institute in our great state of Texas. So that says a lot. I always like to share also the 3%, since we have a long tradition of the Winter Garden south of Bexar County, and the military is 3%. Remember, 2% feeds 98% of us, and 1% defends our liberty of this great country, which we hopefully can all agree in that we live in. So we got to take care of the 3%, and that's Texas A&M University that has the agriculture and the military presence as well. So thank y'all for being here. My name is David Rodriguez. I'm the horticulturalist here. Bexar County program is one of 6 large urban programs in the great state of Texas. Extension has been around for over 109 years in our great state of Texas. The land grant's been since 1876, when Reconstruction of the South was finishing out. 1890 is when we started the research programs. We were tasked to figure out cotton root rot to grow olives in Texas. And guess what? We can't grow olives in Texas, and cotton root rot was still trying to figure that out, okay? So cotton is still king in Texas. So that's one of many, many hats that we wear. God willing, this time, or close to this time next year, off of Walters Road and 35, one side is Fort Sam, the other side is going into the east side, which was Obama's one of 6 revitalization programs for the country, where they they've done a great job fixing up that east side. Commissioner Tommy Calvert has been our champion for about 8 years on this project, and since we're a house and unique partnership with the county, we will be opening our premier extension urban farm of the nation. So all you citizens should be very, very happy about this, because there's not another extension urban farm of this capacity that will be set up. So we'll be office there. And when it comes to urban gardening, this would be the premier urban garden for research, growing herbs, Texas superstar plants, vegetables. One of my friends from the Water Garden folks maybe help us with some water features over there with Water Garden Gems as well. Bees, chickens, you name it. We're going to do it over there. So 10 acres. 10 acres. So this is something I'm excited about, and once we get it going, I think it's going to be very special for the United States to have this in our backyard here. So we're funded by federal, little bit monies through the USDA, The state legislators are in session, so we're kind of under the teachers' retirement account type thing, so we need funding just like they do. And then, of course, the Unique County partnership that we have. So, and our support group is our Master Gardener Volunteers, which helps us with our extension horticulture educational outreach efforts. I want to share a couple plants with y'all today. One is the rodeo tomato. If you're going to be at the rodeo this weekend, it ends this weekend. We have Master Gardeners out at the front. Can y'all hear okay with this thing? Okay. At the front right side of the Coliseum there. And we've been doing a rodeo tomato for many, many years. And when Dr. Jerry Parsons took Dr. Finch back in the early 90s to Miss Marion West, who's the boss lady at that time at the rodeo. And y'all remember the weekend gardener, Dr. Jerry Parsons. Y'all can see him on all the videos. And if y'all not utilizing plantanswers.com, make sure y'all utilizing that website. And you can see his the last video he did with Dr. Moy on papayas, which is, I think, hilarious. But remember, I said his last video with Dr. Moy. You can figure out the rest when you see the video. But nobody laughs anymore. Everybody's like uptight all the time. We got out of this government shutdown, more people are mad, right? Why is that? We need to be happy. We be happy, you know. So she said, Jerry, what do you want? So this crazy Calvin Finch wants to have a youth garden in every second grade school here in Bexar County. And guess what? She took out the checkbook, wrote a very, very, very generous check. And ever since, we've been supported with the rodeo. And all the sales at the rodeo goes to our 4-H youth development. You know, Bexar County has the largest 4-H presence in the state. Helotes down the street right here has the biggest 4-H club, one of the largest in the state and nation. So youth development is a big part, because if we don't get it right with these kids, folks, and we lose this generation, you can figure out the rest. Very simple. Very simple. Okay? So she said, all I need y'all to do is, can y'all do a rodeo tomato every year? Yeah, we can do that. So since 1963, when Dr. Sam Cotner was the winter garden vegetable specialist with the Extension Service and the university, we have a long tradition working with the farmers and agriculture. So we've been literally looking and doing tomato trials since 63. Oldest in the country, oldest in the state, even longer than College Station. So the number one vegetable is tomatoes. Everybody likes tomatoes, so that's why we do this. So we do trials here and around the state at our Uvalde Research Station, in up in Lubbock, in College Station, Fort Bend County, other places throughout the state. We look at everything 3 years, ideally 5 years. The challenges that we have with a lot of these varieties is making sure they're going to be available in the market. That's one of the biggest challenges that we have. So we grow bush-like tomatoes, which are also referred to as determinate type tomatoes. They grow, they flower, they're in and out, because y'all know by mid-June, the oven turns on. By 4th of July, y'all don't want to go outside, and y'all proved it this year when, remember, y'all's utility bills were going up? Everybody look at that. What's going on here? Right? But I know y'all didn't cut your air conditioning bills. Tell me, believe me, I know my wife didn't. But a lot of y'all stopped watering. We're going to be talking about that here soon. So we try to grow before it gets too hot. We're in and out, and then we start this all over again in July, August for the fall, before it gets too cold. But we're planting at the hottest time of the year, right? So that's where we come up with these varieties, okay? Thunderbird is this year's rodeo tomato from Cicada Seed. Good sugar to acid ratio to it, medium to large size fruit, 8 ounce to potentially a pound fruit on it. And so we like this one. San Antonio has always been the hub of new tomatoes and new plant introductions via the Texas Superstar plant program. Okay, we've always been the hub. 90% of the 112 plants that have come out of the Texas Superstar plant program always starts out as a San Antonio Superstar, and then if it makes the cut, a Texas Superstar plant. Okay, and 1982, when Dr. Parsons put a numbered variety tomato on the market, which we call today is, and everybody knows this tomato, or you should know what this tomato is Celebrity. Came out of this little program in 1982. The most planet recognized tomato in the country. Celebrity tomato out of this program, okay? Mid-March, we will have the first of 3 Superstar plant introductions this year. And the tomato will be, and it makes rodeo tomato, but it makes Texas Superstar status, is Ruby Crush tomato. Ruby Crush tomato. If you get kids involved, and we should all get kids involved in the gardening experience, letting them grow this tomato or any small fruited tomato is a plus. Is a plus, okay? Now, for some reason, remember we used to get excited when the Spurs used to win? They're making such a big thing in a positive way that they've lost 15 games in a row. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. 15 games. I remember the good days with the Spurs. They'll be back just like the Cowboys, right? So, we got to get these kids involved because we don't like to be number one. We don't like to be number one when we're childhood obesity, type 2 diabetes. We have issues, okay? And y'all make these silly New Year's resolutions every year that you break January 2nd. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to... Bam, bam, bam. You've already messed it up, right? We got to engage these youngins with gardening. It's work. It takes time. It's sweat equity. But it's good. We need to know where our food comes from. When 98% rely on 2% to feed us and we don't know where our food comes from, we have the capacity in this country and the technology and science. We can feed anybody and everyone in this world, but when you have communism and strife throughout the world, it's a challenge. And when we have people in our own streets, in our backyards having issues, that's shameful. It's very shameful. Okay, so we need to figure this out and get on the right track, right? So Ruby Crush is a teardrop grape-like tomato. And when you grow these plants, you don't need a lot of plants. You just do a good job with those 1 or 2 that you have. And this is the child's tomato, and that's why we love it with the Youth Gardens program. We have over 80 schools in our Youth Gardens program, one of the largest in the nation still to date, right? Because you're learning all these earth sciences and stuff. Now, remember, y'all can write this down. Write it down. He's writing it down. Play. Play. They don't even do that anymore in school. We need to get outside and all the things we can see every day. It's so beautiful. So get these little ones, grow Ruby Crush. And then 4th of July, we're going to do Firecracker Roselia. Firecracker Roselia looks like a fern-like plant. Beautiful reddish, tubular-like flowers. And when flowers are tubular, you get what? Butterflies, hummingbirds, right? So that's going to be one of the original plants. Was a selection that Dr. Moy from the Botanical Garden did many, many moons ago. So that's going to be the second official Texas Superstar release at the 4th of July, Firecracker, 4th of July, Roselia. And if you go back with Manuel Flores, some of y'all remember Manuel Flores many, many moons ago, 90% of all oak species, 90% of all oak species come from Mexico. So when these tree guys, Paul Cox from the Botanical Garden, Lynn Lowry, Benny Simpson, a lot of these, Emmanuel Flores, a lot of these great botanists, horticulturalists, used to go down to Mexico and bring all these oak species back. And that's when we brought Monterey oak, or Mexican white oak, into this market. Quercus polymorphum. means versatility in the leaves. The leaf shapes can be different shapes, sizes, etc. So that's going to be an official tree in the fall. So fall is for planting. It has proven the test of time, and it takes a lifetime, literally, it takes a lifetime to really know a tree. And so statewide, I think we're ready. It's gone through the droughts, it's gone through these 2 major freezes, and they know how to grow it, and people are happy with both on commercial and residential. That's your third one. So horticulturally speaking, we've done so much with the Belgians here, the farmers. This is the largest ethnic Belgium population in the U.S. Y'all remember the Vanderwallies? I just saw Miss Vanderwally, Jackie Vanderwally last week at the rodeo. And remember Pace Food and all that, and NAFTA deal number 1 when the Winter Garden went this way. The San Antonio Food Bank on 151 in Callahan. Let's go back to 1974, and think and sing 1,000 acres of carrots there. That's not too long ago. All that's gone. All that's gone. We used to do all that here. We used to be the Winter Garden, tip of South Bexar County. Used to be the tip of the Winter Garden of this country at one time. Now it's Yuma, Arizona. Why Yuma, Arizona? What do y'all think? Mexico, U.S. is labor. It's a desert. Cool nights. We have very warm nights here, so they don't have to do too much spraying. And they have water. Water. So Yuma, Arizona is the country's new winter garden that we have here. Horticulturally speaking, Wayne is correct. When we were cutting our teeth when we were younger, a lot of independent nurseries. Wolf Nursery used to be the independent nursery back in the day before Sears and the Builders Squares and the Handy Dans and the Home Depots and Lowe's came in and all that. So a lot of history here. Down the road here on Highway 90 and 1604 off of Cagnan Road, just a skip away from here, is the state's largest wholesale plant grower in our backyard. A lot of people don't realize that. 300 acres. 300 acres. Used to be under Joe Bradbury, Lone Star Growers, then it went Color Spot Nursery. Now it's the largest family-owned nursery in the U.S., out of California. Altman Brothers. So they have 6-7 facilities in Texas and California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Oregon, North Carolina, etc. Family owned, largest in the country now. So I'm glad they didn't close that down. This close to closing it down. But why are they there? They have water rights. That means they can. 300 acres of plants is a lot of water. So that's why they're there. They'd be foolish to close that facility down. So we have Peterson Brothers Wholesale Nursery. They're the rodeo grounds. And guess what? The Peterson family, since 63, when Cotner was here too, Dr. Cotner, they sold out this year too. They were almost going to close the doors. But we have a new owner that's taking them over. I'm spending a lot of time trying to get them, because all these cool plants that we have via the Rodeo Tomato, Texas Superstar plants, and all these cool plants is because of that family nursery there. They're the nursery. This big guy, Altman's, is the big grower that ships out ornamentals throughout the state. So we have a lovely history here. I want y'all to look at plantanswers.com if you're not utilizing it. Aggie Horticulture. On the Aggie Horticulture website, you can learn more about Texas Superstar Plant Program as well. And then one next plant that I want to, and real quick on this tomato, we're really not telling you guys to plant your tomatoes now in your garden, but to pot them up, get a nice sized container. Pot them up, maybe put a little bamboo, put a little bamboo stick, use some real good premium potting mix, a little bit good compost, pre-moisten it. You never plant dry plants, you never plant in dry soil or media. And copious amounts of a slow-release container fertilizer, something like Color Star, Nutristar, Osmocote, something like that. we always tell you guys, always read and follow label instructions, right? Which I know y'all don't do. But these products are good, but we got to use them correctly. We got to use them correctly. So we'll make an exception. Whatever it says on the label, double it or triple it. Because these, you want to get big plants. So by March 15th or so, April 1 at the latest, you want to put them in a big enough tomato cage. I like them even larger than this, that you can make out of reinforcing wire, like Remex reinforcing wire. 4 to 5 feet tall, 16 to 20 inch diameters on them. And then most importantly, because everyone likes to brag all the time, or at least have bragging rights, today is the day they're planting broccoli and cabbage at the children's garden at the botanical garden, and Tuesday at Phil Harper homeschool garden that our master gardeners oversee. And then in 2 weeks they'll be planting big tomatoes. And this is the key. This is the key. If you're not using this white cloth, this insulate, on wrapping these early plantings, this makes a big difference. Okay? You're making a little house for your little baby plants. And what this white cloth does, it lets the light in there, the UV lights in there. But most importantly, the wind. Okay? It gives the plant 4 to 5 degrees of extra winter protection. And then you can also use it as an insect barrier. So like if you have squash vine borers that go on your squash or zucchini plants, you can make it like a little Quonset with the white cloth. And all your cucurbit-like plants, cucumber, squash, zucchini, melons, you have female flower, male flower opens first, pollen, etc. You move the cloth over, let the bees do their business, the girls in the morning, and then it keeps your plants clean. It's an insect barrier too. So who is honestly using insulate or has used insulate on these plantings? Less than 3 people. It makes a difference. It makes a difference because we can put big tomatoes out this week, and we've done it before at the children's garden. We start bringing our first tomatoes in by mid-May. It's pretty awesome. By mid-May. So it makes a big difference if you're worried about the change of weather that we're having. It's called weather, by the way. Y'all know that, right? Weather. Okay, so that's a little bit about tomatoes. Who knows Thompson Seedless grape? Everybody better raise their hand here. Everybody knows Thompson Seedless grape. So I shouldn't be asking silly questions. Okay? We finally have the best home gardening and on the vineyards table grape for Texas. We finally have it. Okay? Seedless. Okay? They've tried to put a lot out in the market, but there's a disease called Pierce's disease. And some of y'all that have grown okra, when you go up to the okra plant, you see a little insect. It's a leafhopper. And the closer you get to that plant, the closer you get to that leafhopper, he goes to the backside of the plant. Okay? There's a variety of leafhopper called glassy wing leafhopper. And this is a vector of a disease. It's a mycoplasma-like organism. And it injects into the xylem, the plumbing of grapes. And in the summertime, it clogs them up. And then all of a sudden, they just shut down and die. This has been a huge industry challenge in commercial vineyards, in California, in Texas. And that's why they have to do high rates of insecticides because of this disease potential. This grape is called Southern Sensation Seedless Grape. Southern Sensation Seedless Grape. If y'all know what Thompson grapes are, the #1 grape sold as a table grape, green, kind of a whitish type grape. When they start flowering, typically in California or Chile, they spray them up to 3 times. When the flowers come out, they spray them up to 3 times with GA, gibberellic acid, which is a hormone that sizes up the berry and it helps them become seedless. Okay? This grape, you don't need to do that to, which is good. Okay? Which is good. So, If y'all see premium grapes, when you go to the market this weekend, when you see these premium grapes, they're $10 each. A little bundle of grapes is $10 each. This grape on the second or third year has the potential of 18 to 15 clusters of grapes, those $10 grapes, 8 to 15 clusters. So this grape will pay for itself in 2 years. We're excited about this grape. It looks like Thompson Seedless, except it has a little more yellow into it. I think a prettier color, a little bit more yellow into it. It's a very good sugar to acid ratio to it. And the other grape that we put on the market, which is Pierce's disease resistant, is Victoria Red. I don't know what city that came from, right? Victoria, Texas. But it has some remnants of the little seed in it. So it's not a true seedless red grape. Okay, this is a true. We're excited about this because these small farmers that are doing these farmers markets, they're trying to grow something different, uniquely 12 months of the year. So I think some of those guys are going to start having some of this at some of these state and local farmers markets. Southern Sensation, seedless grape, and they have a few plants over here as well. So we're not going to talk about water garden, by the way. Y'all know that, right? Okay, go ahead. Okay, grapes, like any other edible crop, fruit or vegetables, need full sun. So the heat's not an issue as long as you have supplement irrigation during the peak of the summertime and you keep the plants well mulched. So on the Aggie Horticulture website, we have a couple of real good publications on grape culture, how to grow them and how to maintain them, fertilize them and all that. So if you look at these very old vineyards around the world, you usually see one trunk that's very woody, very thick. You usually have an arm or two to the left, possibly an arm or two to the right of the consorts, and then 60 to 90% of the grape plants is cut back every year. A lot of people, that's a lot. Yes, if you look at these real close at these vineyards, you see these very woody arms, but they cut them back 60 to 90%. And we should be doing that right when the little buds are swelling, right when they're ready to come out. And we just cut them back very hard. You need to cut them. So if you have a big arbor or something that has a big grape and they really don't have grapes and they have a lot of brown leaves in them and stuff, you should bring it back hard every year, clean it out and reset it and let it grow. Should let it grow if you want grape production and a prettier looking, but it's a lot of work bringing these down and resetting it. But that's if you want good grape production on. But so you do check that out on Grape Culture. There's other grapes that have been around a long time that we've had. Champanelle, big purple grapes. Welch's Juices. That used to be the main grape Welch's Juices used to use. And then they went a grape that comes in 30 days earlier out of New York. That's the one that they use now. It comes before Champanelle grape. And then we have the Black Spanish grape. They're one of the oldest vineyards in Del Rio, Texas. Okay, during Prohibition, it was kept open for the Catholic Church for the wine, right, for the sacrament. And it's a small little black. They call it, if you want to call it something, Le Noir. That's the name for Black Spanish. Le Noir is the other name. So we have other grapes, but these two, particularly Southern Sensation, Seedless, and Victoria Red, which are Pierce's disease, and often the U.S. is always helping the French out. You know, P.D. Munson used to work on the railroads for many, many years in Texas. He discovered 28 native Texas grapes, and when the French grapes were declining because of phylloxera, a little insect, phylloxera lice on the roots killing the French grape industry, he figured out how to do French hybrid grapes with our rootstock in Texas. So they honor him with a lot of ceremony and big statue in France because another Texas boy saved the French grape industry. So a lot of beautiful history. So P.D. Munson, you can study up on him as well. And he found a lot of these old varieties of Pierce's disease. Okay, so I'm not Albert Flores. Remember Albert Flores? And a lot of people are asking me, are we going to have another late freeze? Now, if I knew this answer, I would be in Vegas making some big bets here. Okay? Like the Spurs aren't going to lose 16 games in a row, right? Okay? So only, we don't know when the last freeze is. We have traditional data that's usually mid-March, last frost. The old Belgians used to only plant on the day after the Monday after the Holy Week, Good Friday, Easter. Monday, Tuesday, they would start planting for the springtime. Major warm season crops at that time. So I don't know that, so please don't be asking me that question. But let's cover some topics. We talked a little bit about these new plants that are coming out of the pipe, a little bit about vegetable gardening, and a little bit about grapes. So let's talk, and then we'll open it up for just information. We'll answer to our best ability. Let's talk about lawns. Now, if you have a lawn that's nice and green, it might not be turf grass. It might be weeds. But some people are happy because it's green. Okay? So, the biggest thing on weed management in lawns, or any type of weed in general, weeds are thieves. So, right now with this warm weather we saw this week, and it's going to be warmer this afternoon and tomorrow, it's up and down, is they're trying to, all these cool weather weeds that are green right now are trying to push out flowers and seeds right now. Okay? A lot of this will be dying out pretty soon naturally, but we never want a weed to flower or set seeds. So your best weed management control in your lawn, if you can't get your spouse to pull these weeds, is to mow them. A well-maintained mower with sharp blades. Okay? That means you want a nice cut on that turf grass, or any plant with shears or head shears, because if you have a dull blade, you're going to have potential for disease, insect potential, so good cuts. So never let the weed flower or set seed. And a lot of these varieties of weeds on the lawn is every time you mow, it has to regrow. You mow it regrow, and doing that 2, possibly 3 times will kill out a lot of these weeds. Okay, so mow often. Okay. Now, if you have not done so, Ali brought me the bag up here. You need to get your pre-emergent herbicide granule out this week. Okay, so what's green, flowering, and seeding and growing now are cool weather weeds. Cool weather weeds that will be declining and be finishing up. But with this weather we saw this week, and soon we're going to start seeing warm weather weeds coming. So you need to use a broad spectrum granulated pre-emergent herbicide for both broadleaf and grassy weeds. Look for something with the active ingredient Dimension or Barricade, or a couple good active ingredients. So you're putting an insurance policy out. You're putting a layer of the product out, flicking it out similar to lawn fertilizer at the proper square footage rate. And when the little seed germinates with the soil temperatures warming up here, if they haven't already started, it's going to hit that barrier and it'll kill the seedling. It's not going to take care of the adults. It's only going to take care of seedlings. So around January, February now, with folks that have weeds, who has weeds now? We're not going to make fun of you if you don't raise your hand. It's all good. The first question I ask is, did you put your pre-emergent herbicide out in late August, September? And a lot of people that have problems did not do it.
And the other issue is weather related. Okay, because if you put it out and you get a significant rain event or the temperature's going up, it might not be as good. It's a timing thing. It's a weather thing. So try to get this out 2 times a year until you get your lawn where it needs to be. Now, if you see the weather, go ahead.
Would that amount cover this here square?
Yeah, it's 2,400 square feet. It should. It should cover that area. Yeah.
Cover this,
It
right?
should cover that area. Yeah. If we've learned anything of this droughts that we've had, if you look at the national weather thing, we're in deep doo-doo right now. This is bad. This is very bad. And we've never gone into spring as low as the aquifer has been. Did y'all know that? We've never gone into spring as the aquifer is right now. But working with San Antonio Water Systems, they've done an excellent job. We have one of the best water purveyors in the country. So we have water conservation, right? We save our bank account for days that we need to use our savings, right? So we have reserves south of here. We've got a bunch of water in the ground in a big bubble, and then other reserves. So we really need significant rain events. That rain event we had about, 2 weeks ago? It was slow, about an inch. But you dig down in the soil, it's dry. It's very dry. So we grow warm season grasses here. St. Augustine, which is, a lot of them are starting to green up now. Bermuda and zosia are 3 main warm season grasses. I want you to think inside your house. Think inside your house. A carpet, a floor, how you maintain it, sweeping it, mopping it, vacuuming it. Hey, I don't do any of that. Don't say that. Those kind of things. Okay, that's your indoor carpet. It's your indoor carpet. Okay? Now we go to the outdoor carpet. Turf grass has its place there. Okay? We did mention he wrote it down, play. We need it for us as adults, for the kids, for barbecues, for the little doggy when it has to do his business or whatever. And they belong outside, by the way, because his grandfather was a wolf. When you have these squirrel problems, you need to talk to your dog about that. Come on, man. He broke his New Year's resolution too. We got to get him on a diet too. So, if we've learned anything, this drought is not going to go away. Y'all have lived here long enough. Y'all know how the weather is. It's dry, hot, drier, hotter. Then we get a monsoon. Then we put our firemen in danger because people are crossing these low water crossings, and you know what happens? That's a fact. That's the truth. Y'all see that when we have these rain events of 3 inches or more here. Right? Right? So, do we need as much turf grass as we traditionally used to have when they closed these houses out? You put 2 trees, 8 shrubs, sod the front or the backyard, if that. So, it has its place. It has its place. A lot of people like to do the golfing thing too. I'm not sold on aggregate rock, and I'm not sold on artificial turf because we don't need to be there. I don't think we'll ever be there. But maybe less, maybe a third turf grass. Talk about Texas superstar plants, vegetables, herbs, perennials, butterflies, hummingbird plants, right? Cut flowers, all that good stuff. A third, hardscapes. I don't hear anybody say water gardens. Right? Water gardens, right? I remember Bert Nichols for many years, him and Sally. Many years. And then I knew the niece and that took over the business. I don't know the new owner yet. I need to meet with them pretty soon. Go ahead.
I had a question about our trees. We had a ton of damage.
Okay. A trees, ton of damage?
We had a ton of damage with our trees. And some of them are that size. So they're all broken. You can't reach them. Is there anything you can put in the roots of the stomach or something to help them
Okay.
survive or cut them back?
So the question she had is, I guess with the ice storm, right, a few weeks back, that compromised some of the integrity of the canopy of the tree. So trees are the biggest investment in our landscape, right? So, and people that grow beautiful, majestic oaks or beautiful trees. You know, you got your arborists over here, San Antonio Arborist Association. You got your turf grass guys over here. You know, when you're growing a beautiful, majestic tree, it's hard to grow turf grass, right? It's hard to grow turf grass. The answer is not butchering the tree for 3% more sunlight. So, I often tell people, I don't want you all using chainsaws. I don't want you on ladders. So if it's a safety issue, humans do come first still. If it's a safety issue, like an integrity of your residence, your neighbor, utility lines, we do cut our trees on these utility lines. You know what happened in California when they don't do that? Major fires and stuff. They're not doing that to upset you. It endangers the safety of these guys that are doing that. Plus, y'all complaining we don't have electricity. So they have to do that. So if it's a skill level, the San Antonio Arborists Association has a lot of good people. You want bonded, insured, and licensed. Not a guy in the back of a pickup truck and I'm barato, I'm cheap. And then something happens, you know, where people sue for everything now. Fertility, right now, look at everything. If new growth is starting to come out on anything, almost all your plants, containers or landscape plants, that would be a good time to use, you know, something like a premium lawn fertilizer on all your trees. And that's usually about March here, if not now. The next couple weeks, the same fertilizer, 1959, 1940, anything slow release nitrogen, 312 analysis, 412 analysis. Use about a pound for every inch of tree trunk. Put it on the perimeter, the drip line, the outermost branches. Scratch it in if you can, but most important, water it in soon after that you apply it, and that will really get it going for the springtime.
I have a lot of oaks, kind of oak leaves. Do I need to have leaves up before I put my pre-emergent down?
Good question. So we mentioned about mowing and mowing often your weeds in your lawns. And we also promote the Don't Bag It program. Don't Bag It program. And that was started by Doug Welch in my position, Dr. Welch, back in the 80s. So we know these oak trees, if they have live oaks, they shed a lot, especially when they're pushing out new leaves. So grass clippings and tree leaves, we want to try our best to don't bag as much as we can. So if you're going at a slow rate, after the morning dew has settled a little bit in the lawn, with a mulching mower, but most importantly, sharp blades, go over them 2 or 3 times. Now, if you have a big accumulation, we know that sometimes get real thick. Excuse me. They get real thick. But if you at least shred them, cut them, or rake them up and use a weed whacker on them, that tannins in these leaves, if we can break them down a little bit, the acceleration and decomposition will be quicker and faster instead of the whole leaf. If we have just the leaves by themselves in the lawn or flower beds, and they get thick over time, they become very hydroscopic, meaning when it rains or you water, it's like a duck's back. It just goes off. It doesn't go in. So the water, so try to break them down the best you can in place. If you have to rake them up, put them in your walkway, in your vegetable garden. Put them in a well-balanced compost pile, blend that in, or a thin layer as a mulch around your landscape trees or beds. And then if you need to break it down even more, then you can use like a little bit of compost out there, and that will accelerate the breaking down even quicker. Yes, even quicker. Good question. Go ahead.
I bury leaves too. I'm converting some of my lawn into a green butterfly garden.
Okay.
The neighbor had an ash tree, so we used some of those trees and buried it. I do have a compost in my backyard, so I'm using it there as well. You can get even a trash can, put leaves in there, and will eventually.
So she's converting some of her large turf grass area into a butterfly garden, which is good. But anything we can help coarse or green material to make it smaller, the decomposition composting will accelerate it. If you add a little bit of a traditional fertilizer, even an alfalfa base, or a poultry fertilizer to increase the beneficial bacterium or the fungi, that will accelerate it even more. Okay? Because remember, compost, and I never understand when, y'all know Malcolm Beck, hopefully everyone knew Malcolm Beck, the godfather of Texas organic gardening, one of the best citizen scientists that I've ever met. I miss him. A lot of these old mentors of mine have passed on. And if you ever get a chance to read and study some of his old books on composting and the nature, the earth and stuff, very great. Professors used to bring their classes down to see Malcolm Beck, and he started Gardenville and all these green companies. You know, the government didn't help him. He was self-sufficient and made it $1 million. He's a genius. He's a genius. So he did railroad for many years, organic vegetable garden. Excuse me. And he found out that he could sell this compost. Sold the company twice. Multi-millionaire. He would buy your trash, make it into compost, and then sell it back to you. And not $1 from the government. This is green that works. Green that works when the government's not involved. So yeah, anything, but remember, compost is not fertilizer. It's a soil amendment. And for these droughty times, the two keys for the droughty times is organic material in the soil. When we plant, we work in compost with the native soil, right? That's your sponge. Right? And then mulch on the top. Double shredded hardwood mulch or whatever as the top to hold the moisture and regulate. That's where we're going to get through these droughty times. Native, proper plant selection will adapt to proven and tested time plants, i.e. superstars and other, and soil amendment. That's all going to be a big key factor. Go ahead.
This is in the cleanup from the last trees. Ground covers.
No, I'm just doing it. I'll go.
Ground covers. Do we need to do anything to get rid of all the dead stuff, or just let it go through?
So if you haven't started your spring cleanup, let me talk about two things with spring cleanup. So when we had that freeze event that snuck up on all of us, hot, dry, not too many sunny days, hot, dry, not too many of them, boom, it came. So a lot of plants weren't acclimated or ready. It snuck up on it. It literally snuck up on a lot of plants. So a lot of people, even back in January or so, should we be cutting back? Should we be cleaning up? So traditionally we always do about mid-February to March. So we should be doing that now. So a lot of people with time, or they just didn't like to see the ugly. They didn't like to see the ugly, started to clean up quite a bit. And we had another cold event soon after, because a lot of that new growth was already pushing. So some people might have lost some of those plants and cut them back too early. Remember, pruning is a dwarfing and rejuvenation process, okay? So if you haven't started to do that, the ugly needs to come out. Sharp pruners Make sure they're very sharp, disinfected. Cut back to the greenwood. You know, some of these perennials, 6-inch sticks, so you at least know where it's at. And a lot of this should be pushing out if it hasn't started to push out. Your organic double shredded hardwood mulch on some of these perennials that are to ground level that hopefully will push out if they haven't started. Move that organic mulch away some. Move it out this way. So we take advantage of that soil temperature to warm up. That's going to help accelerate that growth to come out. And once that growth starts being visible, we want to start fertilizing. And then late April, May, maybe move the mulch back, replenish it with some fresh double shredded hardwood mulch to get it ready for the summertime, right? Y'all know the 444 guy? Right, the 444 guy? This is the 222 guy. Okay? Twice a year, before we go into the summer, and when we come out of summer, about April, May, September-ish, twice, 2 times a year, 2 inches thick, 2 inches away from the crown of the plant, we should be using this good organic double shredded hardwood mulch. That's water conservation at its best, because we're trying to hold the water, and so we can cut back our watering. And we need to build the soil up because we lack a lot of organic material in our soils. So we're trying to act as a sponge effect. So it holds the moisture and builds the bacteria, the good guys, the good fungi. And it's cutting back on our watering. It's building this organic material in the soil over time. So that's very important. We use compost when we plant with the native soil. And then we mulch at least twice a year. The 222 guy. I should do a mulch commercial. 222.
So I don't have to do anything but.
What I would do, like these beds, like jasmine and stuff, if they're like, oh yeah. What we used to do, and I would do this pretty soon, is if you can get a lawnmower in there, if you can get a lawnmower and just mow it down, but not all the way to dirt. Just kind of leave the little tips on it, and not try a weed whacker. Not all the way down. Not all the way down, because you're probably going to have good green and then dead, and let's see. Try to get it all, and then with a plastic leaf rake, lightly brush it back, and then when it starts coming out, fertilize it, and then look at it in May. I might need to plant a plant here or a plant there. Look at it that way. But we grow a lot of beautiful summer color plants here. And most of those are superstar plants. You go 30 years back, we didn't see New Gold Lantana, Plumbagos, Mexican Bird of Paradise, Firebush, all these cool ones, the Gold Star Esperanza, and all these cool plants which we release. You know, that's one thing about the extension. We'd like to grow businesses and economic stability, help the industries as well. And $1 million plants, literally. So we've gone through mild winters. Y'all seen mild winters when we have Gold Star Esperanza 15 feet tall. So in reality, having these freeze events is good, because it forces people. And then when this happened a few years in 2021 at the Botanical Garden, I said, I'm glad it froze. They put in a lot of work to do, a lot of trimming, a lot of cleaning up. But you know what? All those perennials by summertime, beautiful. Beautiful, because people don't want to cut stuff back. They either ignore it, let it come back, or they let the plant get out of control. It doesn't look pretty. This is San Antonio. We want it to look beautiful here, right? We don't want trash and graffiti. We want it to look nice. We're having that challenge, right? So cut them back, but don't wait. Don't wait till your plumbago has dead sticks here, and then the new growth's coming out, and it's all mixed up. And then I try to take the dead branch, and you're breaking the tender growth. Do this early. Don't wait. Don't wait.
What about your herbs, like say rosemary? If that little part is starting to look ugly, should you just put it all the way back?
Cut it to the greenwood or remove the dead and ugly. Yeah, it's not going to come back. Those rosemaries were hit hard in 2021 and this year too. The nurseries love y'all. Y'all are buying a lot of plants. But it's been tough. Yeah, it's been very tough.
Wait to replant it if you want to bring it out or beyond dead.
Cut it back and let's see if it comes out. Yeah. See, we waited, 2021, a lot of these questions that was asked, my answer was, we don't know. We don't know. We have never seen over 100 plus hours below freezing, the snow. But one thing we knew is snow insulates at 32 degrees. So that might be good. And in reality, things that we thought were dead, I told people, we just gotta wait. We gotta wait. Dead is dead. Trim it out, clean it up. And a prime example was the sago palms. The big Washingtonian palms. Some of the stuff came out as late as August. Viburnums, Xylosma, a lot of these plants, and we've never seen this happen. But then we went to severe drought, and then this freeze event we had, which finished. So I just, I can only be in the ring so many times with Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I mean? They get beat up, and it's over with. It's on the ropes. No mas, no mas. So she has the Chinese plum, the loquat. If you know it's dead and it's coffee brown and dead and it snaps, I would cut it to like an 8-inch stump, and I bet you it might come out again. So let's see what happens. Only when new growth comes out then fertilized. But let's see what happens. Because plants want to survive. Think about it. Plants want to survive. And when people say, oh, they're killing the soil, well, then why are those weeds there? If the soil's dead, why are the weeds there? Right? Something will take over. We can screw up a lot of stuff as humans, but nature rebounds. It really does. It wants to survive. You might not like that weed that's there, but something is there to compensate or clean up the mess up, right? Clean up the mess up. Good question. Other question. There we go.
I have a Vitex
Vitex, okay.
that's probably 4 foot tall.
Okay.
After Snowmageddon, it did fine. It came back. But then now it looks, I don't know. Is there a way to tell if they're actually dead? And
Okay. So the Vitex are what we like to tell people, the Texas lilac. Vitex. We call it, it looks like the lilacs, but it doesn't have a fragrance to it. It's in the verbena family. And I should do a presentation, plants in the outhouse. Because that's what they use. They use certain plants years back for the outhouses. And lilacs were one of those plants many moons ago. So it's not a true lilac, it's a Vitex. And the ones that Greg Grant selected many years ago was one called Show Creek, Montrose Blue, are the two major ones. And we should be growing it as a big bush or a big perennial. It's very hard to really keep it like a Texas mountain or like a little tree. So we tell people, if you have not done so, is every year cut it to the ground. Every year, cut it to the ground, but leave little sticks so you at least know where it's at. And then when it branches out, try to designate maybe 5 of the best branches that come out, and remove the others. And if it really aggressively suckers a lot, like you see sometimes with crepe myrtles and pomegranates, then often they're planted too deep in the ground. If that's the case, you need to kind of expose the flare root a little bit. But grow it as a big salvia, as a big perennial, and keep it about 6 feet, 10 feet at the most. And there's a rule of thumb for a lot of these perennial-like type plants is when 80% of those flowers are fading out, cut the plant out back again about 1/3. Fertilize it, mulch it. That way it comes and keeps blooming through the summer and the fall time. Now,
is it too late to cut it back down?
I would cut it back. It's not green yet, right? Shoots are, no, cut them back. The original plants And this grower over here grows over 100,000 plants for the state. He grows up those selections. Now, you always have people, you've heard of fake news, right? This is fake gardening. So, some people get a little crazy that, oh, that's an invasive plant. That's not right. These selections of Shoal Creek and Montrose Blue that are sold in the market, their seeds, if they call them peppercorns. The monk pepper is another name for the seed pod. They're like a peppercorns. Those are very infertile seeds, basically. So, plus you don't want them to go to the seeds because you want blooms. So that's why you cut them back immediately. But see, when we tell you wait till about 80% bloomed out, this is kind of like y'all's spring tomatoes in July. Or your squash and zucchini. Maybe even your okra in the summertime. I got one more tomato. I can do it. Why is the neighbor doesn't answer my phone call? The gate's locked. I've already brought him 50 pounds of squash and zucchini. Okay? This is kind of the same concept. You have one more tomato, but you got 50 pounds of spider mites. Pull that junk out. Do that. We make problems. That's your cleanup crew. But cut them back and it'll bloom much better. And it's pretty. And the true ones have racemes, flower spikes that are that big. If you don't have that one, you need to plant the white one. That's the best ones. And they've had a lot of pink ones, white ones, all these new varieties. But the true ones have the big flower, the racemes, flower spikes on. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. Yeah, they have a unique family. They're a verbena family. What questions? Roses?
So we have like 5 foot tall that are
Are they climbing roses or bush roses? Bush roses? They're dead. Get them to plant you a new one. So, driving around town, and one thing we learned many, many moons ago, Mark and Mike Fanuck's daddy, John Fanuck, and then the grandpa was Eddie Fanuck, Grandpa Fanuck, and